announcements. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to give people one more minute to roll in. We are instituting, starting much more on time than we had in previous ones. Good morning, Juria from the Awaken Foundation. It's so good to see everybody on the call. I'm just going to give it literally one more minute and then I'm going to get started. It's great to have all of you on this morning and a nice bright one. I'm out in the suburbs, so I don't know what Chicago proper looks like, but or downstate, but it's been a pretty wonderful weather for us.
Hi, this is Gail Newcomb over in Linwood, Illinois. It is gorgeous outside
Isn't it nice?
compared, but they said in 2 days it is supposed to drop back to the 40s.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it is still winter, so I guess we can't complain too much.
I know, I think I'm spoiled. We haven't had those bad winters since 2019. I don't know if everybody will remember that, like minus 30 for a couple of days. And
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to get started. So, welcome everyone officially to this session on the 2024 Illinois Works reporting session. And this is session 1. And it's one of many sessions and where you'll have an opportunity to learn about the Illinois Works reporting system, which we call in brief IWRS. So the target audience for this program are administrators, so individuals accountable for the administrative functions relevant to data entry and data management. So your job title might be a program administrator, a program manager, a program coordinator, data entry coordinator, that sort of thing. And my name is Dr. Anna Bedard. I'll be leading us just through the first half hour or so, kind of getting oriented to it. And we've got Dan Martinez, who's one of our grant managers, who will be presenting the bulk of it. Dan, you want to come on camera, just say hi to everybody?
Of course. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to see you all here. I know a lot of you've been asking about IWRS and when you can start, really getting your hands into the program. So I'm glad we're able to kick this off for you and welcome.
And just in case you have not been on the other calls, I want to introduce our team. We have a team of passionate experts committed to supporting your program success. And so Norman Rana, who is our deputy director, is not here today. You've just met Dan. Steve and Monica are the other 2 grant managers. You want to come on screen and just say hi?
Good morning. I'm going to say hi and also confirm that the weather is beautiful in Springfield, Illinois this morning.
Awesome.
Good morning, everyone.
Wonderful. And then we've got Gia and Vera Lee, who are the other 2. I and they are your program coaches, and we're also training analysts for Illinois Works. So Gia and Vera Lee, you want to come on, say hi?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back and great to see you all.
Good morning and welcome. And just to continue this part of the conversation, it is beautiful in downtown Chicago.
Awesome. And last but not least, Jeff Doolittle, excuse me, who is our virtual production coordinator. So he's our guy who's writing the slides and just helping us ensure a smooth experience this morning. And Jeff, you want to just wave and say hi so they can put a face to a name.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Glad to be with you.
Great. So that is our team. We also have teams, Illinois Works has 3 programs. This one, we've got the apprenticeship initiative and the bid credit program and actually career services as well. And so there are other teams accountable for those other programs. We are the team responsible specifically for the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program. And so just to level set all of us, if you've been on the calls, you've seen this before, please bear with us, but we want to make sure that we are all present in every meeting to how special this program is, right? And where it fits in the world of Governor Pritzker's commitment to expanding equity in the Illinois construction workforce. So the Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with Southern Illinois University's Center for Workforce Development, developed this Illinois Works reporting system known as IWRS. And this system allows you as grantees to track key information about participant progress throughout their engagement with the pre-apprenticeship program. And so during this course, you will be provided with information about IWRS. We'll provide navigation instructions and practice opportunities. And again, it's one of 5, I think 4 or 5 sessions. So we're not doing everything today, but we're going to get you started. This is the getting started session. By the end of the training, you'll be able to identify the 4 Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship technologies, describe the role of IWRS, explain the relationship between IWRS and the pre-apprenticeship lifecycle, navigate the main page, add or update provider information, manage users, and access the reporting tools. We will give a 10-minute break at the midpoint of the course. And as usual, the session is being recorded. It will be available at our Illinois WorkNet partnership page. And the link to that page is being provided to you in the chat right now. So if you have not already saved that link in your browser, I recommend that you do, because it's just going to make your life easier. You're going to be navigating there quite frequently over the course of the year. Any questions before we proceed to the next section?
No questions in chat, Anna.
Great. All right, let's just move on. So just for the next 10 minutes, this is what we're going to be working on. You just getting present in the room, helping you make sure that you can communicate with us and use all of the functions in WebEx. And we'd like to know what you have to learn from the training. So WebEx is the next. And so real quick tutorial. Across the bottom of your screen, there are a number of buttons. The mute button, so if you can keep yourself on mute, in general, that would be great. Anytime you want to ask a question, feel free to put something in the chat. I'll show you where the chat is in a second. Or you can always come off mute as well to ask your question. You can come on or off video. Please don't try to share anything. I'm not sure if you even have that button. There's, I think everybody's familiar from Zoom with the, you can raise your hand or give reactions. It is helpful if you want to actually ask a question live, ask it using your voice instead of your hands. If you raise your hand, it makes it easy for us to see that you would like to speak. So that would be nice. And then there's always reactions. So and then there's more options. If you, I wouldn't worry so much about that, but far on the right, you have the little bubble that shows that's your chat. So I invite you to bring that up now and just keep that up because, other people may have questions. You may want to ask a question. You don't want to be having to search for the chat bar in order to do that. So I invite you to bring that up right now. As always, if you have any comments, questions, feedback after the program, feel free to email us at ceo.ilwgrantmanagement@illinois.gov. And that has also been placed into the chat. And good morning, everyone. Thank you. I see people are already starting to put their introductions in. I love how we put the name of the session into the little blackboard. That's awesome, on a slide. So if you could just in the chat, we're not using Mentimeter for this morning. We're just doing it in the chat. Put your name, what organization, your role, and your geographic location. That would be lovely. Some of you already introduced yourself in the chat. That's great. And I see Cherie is here. Let's just get a sense of who's in the room. Maybe if you have done it further up, maybe you could do it again so everybody can just see you in real time. And welcome Peggy and Latricia and Shakira, Maria. Wow. Forgive me if I am pronouncing your names wrong. Kiera, Roger, Sarah, and we've got folks from Tri-County, from Chicago, from Glenwood, Linwood, Berwyn, so the Chicago area, the Tri-County area, the Y, Patricia from the Y. We've got Pekin, great, wonderful. It's so nice to see everybody. Excuse me. So nice to see everybody on the call. Thank you for being with us. So using the chat on a scale from 1 to 5, what's your experience / comfort level with data management systems? Because that's ultimately what IWRS is. It's a system to help us manage data. So on a scale of 1 to 5, just put a number in there. We just want to get a sense of your comfort level. So we're ranging from 3 to 5 right now. It's great. Quite a few people are very comfortable. Others who obviously don't have as much experience or comfort with it. And there's no right or wrong. Look, there's no, oh, you should be a 5 in this. Wherever you are is exactly where you should be. And we just want to make sure that we make you feel comfortable and that we can provide what you need in this class and the ones to follow. So thank you for doing that. Great. Yeah. So any questions before we proceed to the next question at the next section? Excuse me.
So far, no questions, Anna.
Great. We're just going to speed ahead. So now just in the next 10-15 minutes, I'm just going to introduce, and this is the super high level because I am not the IWRS expert. After me, Dan Martinez will come in, and that's where you'll really be able to dig in. And in that section, you'll start by entering into this section. But right now, I'm just going to give the high level overview. And that's basically what all of these things is the high level overview. If you want to move to the next slide. So the Illinois Works technology, we have 4 systems, and IWRS is one of 4. We also have the applicant tracking system, the Illinois Works heat map, and the Illinois WorkNet partner guide. And so today we're discussing the Illinois Works at IWRS and also the heat map a little bit. Is this animated here? Yeah. But it's really just the basics of the IWRS. And so many of you may recall that we did a high-level introduction to IWRS in the administrator training. The IWRS, if you want to move to the next slide, is the data management and reporting system designed to allow grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program activities. It is our internal facing system for compliance reporting. It's required of all grantees that you enter data in IWRS real time as activities happen. Our Illinois Works grant managers can only use data that has been entered into IWRS to verify if a grantee is progressing toward your goals and is compliant with requirements. All right. So this is the system that we use to make sure that you're staying on track and to help you, right? So we also have program coaches, the grant managers also support in different ways. And this whole system is designed to help you stay on track and to succeed in your goals. And if it's not it, right, it's our refrain. If it's not an IWRS, it didn't happen, right? So make sure that you're doing it in real time as soon as possible after some event that you're entering the data. As I noted earlier, the Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with Southern Illinois University Center for Workforce Development, designed the IWRS, and the system launched in February of 2022. It is a custom design, and because it's a custom design, we allow grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program inquiries, participants, and grantee partnerships. And it also allows programs to track key information about participant progress throughout the engagement with the program, including application, enrollment announcements, career and support services assessments, enrollment and training modules, attendance, training completion, transitions, and follow-up post-completion. The pre-apprenticeship life cycle outlines the steps that participants take as they move through the pre-apprenticeship program. It tracks participants' progress from the initial program outreach to the post-transition follow-up. The Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program requirements are organized in the pre-apprenticeship life cycle, and you've seen this before. As a result, your program will be required to input the data into IWRS based on the pre-apprenticeship life cycle. For example, your 2024 grantee cohorts will produce results that we will use to identify the program status at a particular moment in time during the program year. So what you're looking at is this, these are all the sections, right? So you're going to be inputting information, and then we're able to run reports both by organization and collectively. The numbers that are on the screen are over the course of the last 2 years, how many total inquiries. It's amazing. 1,417 inquiries, over 3,500 applicants, over 2,200 people enrolled in the program. Almost 1,500 completed the program. Over 1,100 transitioned, and 941 individuals who are in the system and being actively followed for that support. So it's just, it's exciting to be a part of a program like this. Look at the numbers. You're doing your program, and collectively you can see what a large impact we're having. Any questions about that overview information that I just shared before we proceed to the next section?
So far, no questions in chat on them.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Dan.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning again, everyone. So we're going to follow a system now where I will share with you the process or screenshots of IWRS, and then we will have you practice sometimes just for 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, going through the same cycles that I've just shown you. These are very introductory levels of IWRS. So you won't be, entering participant data and needing a lot of, external information. Right now, we're just going to be giving you in this session today a high-level overview of IWRS and showing you essentially where things are. So we'll start today by signing into Illinois workNet and accessing the IWRS system, and we will go through the navigation bar, which will help you go through the system wherever you are in whatever section of IWRS you are. So as the majority of you are program administrators on this call, so we've added your information into the system as a program administrator. We worked with each organization to ensure that we were setting up the proper individuals for program administrator access. And there are other individuals that are with your organization that are on this call as well. And we would have set them up with the appropriate user access as well. So if there are any issues gaining access, or maybe you're not seeing the same thing that we're suggesting you are able to see, please reach out to Steve or Monica in the WebEx chat. Send them a direct message privately to Steve or Monica, and they will help you either gain access or understand, oh, okay, this was the user access that I was set up for. So if we could, go ahead and use those icons. We're going to do a raising our hands. Can you go ahead and click on the raise hand if you have already accessed and practiced logging into IWRS? So if we could just have a show of hands. There we go. All right, maybe about a third of us have done so. All right. Well, great. So there's actually multiple ways to sign in. So go ahead and lower your hands. Thank you very much for participating. And we're going to walk through a couple different ways of signing in. So I was just mentioning that there are different levels of access. There are 3 primary roles. The first is provider level access or service provider access. And that's individuals like outreach and recruitment coordinators, transition service coordinators. These folks will need access to the participant information, right? So they're going to be entering data on the students that you have coming in through your program. There's also a service provider program administrator at level access. And so not only will they have access to the participant level information, they will have access to grantee level information and some reports that even aren't available to the service provider level access. So essentially these would be the program administrators, executive directors, managers within your organization. They also would typically be the ones responsible for adding and deleting users for your profile, your organization's profile. And then there's what we call super admins, and that's the Illinois work staff, your grant manager, some of the SIU staff, and they have access to some enhanced reporting tools that we might use for other things. But and then even beyond that, there's programmer levels access that we may have to sometimes go to, and we'll actually walk you through a help desk ticketing system where we'll show you how those work as well. So regardless of the role, though, anyone seeking access to IWRS needs to first have established an Illinois workNet account. All right, so hopefully that was made clear to everyone prior to this training session. You must have established an Illinois workNet account, because IWRS is essentially built on the foundation of Illinois workNet. Once a person has an Illinois workNet account, and I'm talking about the grant, your organization staff, not the students that are coming into your program. But these are the individuals within your organization that will be accessing IWRS. Once they have that Illinois workNet account, we on this front end for the first time help establish those accounts for IWRS. And then after this, your program administrators should be able to do that. So we will work through signing up if necessary. So if you haven't already established your Illinois workNet account, you can do that by going to Illinois workNet and going to the sign up icon. You can see it there on the screen, and it's a quick registration process. You enter your name, your date of birth, email address, information like that. The key to remember is that and some of you may have already had Illinois workNet accounts with a different organization or as a different role and signed up under a different email address. But the key is that's the email address that we need in order to establish IWRS access. So once you have that access, you can go into the upper left-hand corner and then log in. So on the screen there, it was highlighting the sign up, but then right next to that was the login. And if it wasn't already, we can place the ILWPP.com link in the chat for you. There we go, it is there. So in order to gain access to IWRS, one of the ways would be to, again, log in, entering your Illinois WorkNet username and password, and then it'll return you to that home screen. And what you can do is scroll down about 2/3 of the way down, and you'll see State Partner Resources. And when you select View More, it'll finally bring up, you can see it highlighted in a red box here on the screen, the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. By clicking on that icon, it will take you to the partner guide. So obviously a shortcut to all this would have been to just going directly to the partner guide already. From there, you can select, you can see the 4 hands putting together a puzzle. You can select that. It's access the Illinois Works reporting system. And if you've already signed in, a groups search page will appear. Now, your organization and your profile may already have access to other programs in Illinois Works, or I'm sorry, in Illinois WorkNet. So what you'll be looking for there now would be under the group search is something called ILWRS. By clicking on that, and again, we're going to go through this kind of step-by-step in a practice in just a moment. By selecting that, it would then take you to what you see on the screen now, which is the Illinois Works reporting system, participant recruitment and engagement screen, where we'll go in through that in more detail after we've logged in later in this session. So before I move on, are there any questions about what I just explained for the first method of signing into IWRS? Okay. Not seeing any. I'm actually going to just talk about, there aren't any screenshots for this, but talking about another way of accessing IWRS. Another way would have been to go directly to IllinoisWorkNet.com and logging in. And then from there, you can actually find a dashboard once you're logged in. So rather than scrolling down to the other resources, state resources page, you would just simply go to your dashboard, and on the dashboard is Illinois Works reporting system. So again, then you would access the group search. So that would be under personal and partner tools. It would be under the partner tools pane. So that's another way to log in. But hopefully, once you've set this up, you'll just bookmark IWRS, and then you'll be able to log in as a direct link. All right. So we're going to go into a practice and try going in through that first method that I just discussed. So what I'd like everyone to do is go to IllinoisWorkNet.com. So I'm going to give you all a few seconds to do that. All right. And then go ahead and click on that login button at the upper left-hand side of the Illinois WorkNet screen. And go ahead and sign in. So, and I'm going to ask that you don't go too far ahead, because I'm going to check with you on different stages. So again, how about we use the icons, maybe the clapping hands. So if you have been able to log into Illinois WorkNet, go ahead and throw up a clapping hands reaction so that we can start to see people have been able to do that. So there we go. We have Jaria, Tatuan, Jamie, Sarah, Rochelle, thank you all. So we're starting to go through there. If you're having difficulty, go ahead and send a direct message in WebEx in the chat directly to Steve or Monica. So if Steve or Monica is your grant manager, go ahead and reach out directly to whichever one is your grant manager. If I'm your grant manager, then you get to pick one. So either Steve or Monica will be able to help you with that. So we have a lot of people clapping their hands. It looks like a lot of people did a great job with that. So we'll move on from there. So now that you have access to IWRS, I'm sorry, Illinois WorkNet, please go to the scroll down until you get to the state partner resources. I think it's the third grouping of icons, and then select view more and scroll down again. And in the fifth row will be the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. So from there, once you click on that, that should take you to the Illinois Works Partner Guide. And then you can select access the Illinois Works reporting system. Again, it's that circle icon with the four hands putting together the puzzle. So I'm going to give everyone a moment to get there. And again, you should then see what was a table where you can choose ILWRS. So if we just wait right there for a moment, under the group search page, you should see ILWRS. So if we can use reactions again, maybe a thumbs up this time. Who was able to get to that group search page where you're at ILWRS? All right, so again, if you have a question during the practice times, go ahead and directly message Steve or Monica, and they will be able to assist you during the practice sessions. If you're not able to get to the screen, if you are confused as to what section you're on, they'll be able to help you, or if you don't have access. So I see a couple of requests to show the screen as we go. This was specifically designed to stay in the PowerPoint presentation. We do have screenshots, and we will, going forward, we'll always have a screenshot for the section that we're on. But this initial section, we don't. We can actually scroll back though. If you can go back one slide. If you're at the partner guide, I'm sorry, two slides. If you're at the partner guide, you should see the circle with the hands putting the puzzle together, and that will log you into IWRS. All right, so it looked like we had a lot of folks struggling there a little bit. If you still are struggling with that, keep in mind a couple of things. First, that we can you can always come back and rewatch this video. We are recording it. It'll be on the partner guide. And the second is that Steve and Monica will be able to help you as we move along. All right. So we're going to now move on to the next section where we're going to talk a little bit about the navigation bar. So once you're logged into Illinois WorkNet, IWRS, after you click on the ILWRS from that partner page, you'll see this partner recruitment and engagement screen. At the very top, you will see a navigation bar. This navigation bar is always present on every IWRS screen you're on. So it's always a way to navigate back to someplace else or start back at the beginning. So some of you may not see every icon that you're seeing on the screen on your own navigation bar. That's again because you might not have the same access. Starting on the left-hand side, the Illinois Works logo or the IWRS logo will take you back to the Illinois WorkNet main page. So if you ever want to jump out of IWRS and go back to Illinois WorkNet, you can click on that. Sometimes coming back into IWRS, you'll have to reload and go through the group partner page and select ILWorks. So sometimes that can take a little bit longer. But if you accidentally hit one of those logos, you can always just hit the back button on your web browser and it will take you right back into IWRS. Next is a dashboards dropdown. So when you are using that dashboards, there are different assessments. We're going to go through that and explain the different options underneath each one of those later. So just know that those are available. The groups function essentially will take you back to this page. Ultimately, it will take you to the group search where you will select ILWorks and it'll take you back to this page. The head and shoulder graphic is the user management icon, and that will take you to a section which we will go into in a little bit more detail in a little bit. That will take you to a section where you can change your staff members' access. So you can add staff members, you can remove staff members, you can sometimes change their level of access. There's a folder that is the provider information icon, which is where your organizational level detail is contained. So, things like your address or trainer certifications, some uploads at a organizational level are contained there. There's a little piece of paper with some lines on it, like a checklist. That is the work site placement icon, which you can enter a list of current work sites. So maybe you are collaborating with Habitat for Humanity or the Housing Authority or contractors, and they have openings or positions and locations that you want to keep track of. That is a location where you can do that. And again, we're going to go into each one of these icons in a little bit more detail. Right now, I'm just providing you with an overview of that navigation bar. The next is a little bar chart. That is the reports icon. And that's where you will have several organizational level reports that will help you keep track of your program's outcomes. There will be a lot of reports for your programs there, as well as other Illinois WorkNet programs. So ClimateWorks or, other, I think HUD programs are there. So try not to be overwhelmed when you go into that, and we'll walk you through it and point out later in this training a couple of the reports that you'll need to access. And then the last item on the navigation bar should show hi and then your username. So on the screen here we have Gia's email address. So hi, giasuggs@gmail.com. We can see that from there's a drop-down menu, and there will be several different options that we will explore later, including your dashboard, help requests, and accessing Illinois WorkNet and logging out. So again, we're going to go over these in a little bit more detail, but before I do, are there any questions about those icons? Okay, I'm going to pause for just a moment to see if individuals have accessed IWRS and if you are able to see some of those icons. If you are, you can hover over them. So can I get another set of reactions? Your choice this time. You can smile, you can give us a thumbs up, clap your hands, celebrate to let me know that you see those icons, you're able to hover over them and see your description. Great, thank you so much. Looks like we have at least a third of the people so far. A couple more reactions, there we go. Maybe up to half. So we have a hand raise. If you have a question, you can go ahead and unmute yourself right now. We still have some people with letting me know that they have access to that navigation bar. Thank you, Kathy and Tina. Any questions? No? Patricia, I saw you had your hand raised. Do you have a question? You can go ahead and unmute yourself. No? Okay. All right, great. So we will go ahead and move on to provider information. In this section, we're going to make sure you can navigate through the main page and then understand where your provider information can be added or updated. So on the main page of IWRS, I generally refer to that as the participant page. You'll see the following tabs: the participant recruitment and engagement tab, the partner engagement and management tab, and the work plan and report tab. So partner recruitment and engagement, that houses all of your participant information. So this is where probably 95% of your activity is going to be. This is where you would access their individual profiles. You can obviously search for an individual by their name. If you have multiple grants with Illinois Works, you will access them through the intermediary/provider dropdown. If you only have one grant, you should just see that one grant already pre-selected. You can also search based on statuses such as enrolled or completed to see all of the participants in your program with that particular status. So that can be very helpful, especially as you get started. You want to see everyone that is currently enrolled, or you want to see all of your applicants and you're just working through them, following up with them, so that you can go through and connect with them, schedule interviews or things like that. So once you either enter a name or a status, you'll hit search, and then that will populate the screen based on the filters that you've utilized. So that blue search button is there. Right next to that blue search button is the export button. We'll discuss this in more detail later, but that's where you will be able to export the information from IWRS into, it's actually a text file, but it's in the Excel format that then you can utilize however your organization might need to utilize some of that data. There's also a student support needs report next to in the blue button there. And that's where you will go to access red flags. It'll give you an organizational overview to see where are there participant attendance issues, or where are we having low post-assessment scores. Again, we're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail in a moment. And then all the way over on the right-hand side, still a blue button there, is add participant. And that's where you're going to go to start populating your profile, your organization's profile, with inquiries to the program. It's very important to keep track of those. That's a state mandated reporting that we have to do to ensure that we're capturing the demographics of the people that are inquiring about the program. You saw earlier on the life cycle page when Anna was discussing it, that we keep track of all of those inquiries, and that's something that we have to report out to the state and the public. So we'll again review those features in a little bit more detail, particularly in session 2. We will be getting into that adding participant profiles and training. So the next tab, the partner engagement and management tab, that allows you to track and add partner information. So as we discussed during previous meetings, including at the very first NOFO training sessions that we had, but also our administrator welcome in Naperville, engaging with partners is critical to success in the Illinois Works system. So some of you will have your own systems already in place to track partner engagement, and that's great. If you don't, this is a tab that you can use to manage some of those relationships and keep track of them. that's one thing that I should probably highlight is that there are different systems in IWRS that I guess you could almost look at it as having three different types of programs in IWRS. There are those that are going to be required to be used, and those are the ones that, as Anna said, if it's not an IWRS, it didn't happen. Those are the ones we check for verification for compliance. Then there are ones that we don't use for verification or compliance, but that you're welcome to use. They're essentially just systems that are in IWRS that will potentially benefit your organization if you don't already have other mechanisms in place. And then there are the third category there are things in Illinois WorkNet that essentially we just don't use. Again, IWRS is built on Illinois WorkNet, so we don't use all of the functionality of that system. So I guess that's kind of the third category. All right, so moving on to the last tab on this screen, the work plan and report. This tab provides an outline of your organization's dates and goal outcomes. So your dates and outcome metrics are essentially based on your work plan. All of you should be working with your grant managers right now to really finalize the work plan dates if they're not already, and your work plan goals, essentially the number of individuals that your organization will enroll this year, the number that they will complete, and the number that they will transition. Those were all fixed as part of your agreement, and they're put into the scope for your grant agreement. But then the dates we are finalizing right now, and those will be entered into IWRS, and that will allow you to do kind of a preliminary track of your progress. You'll be able to see how many individuals do you have in an enrollment status compared to the number that was set up in your work plan and your grant agreement. So this is a very good way for you to do a high-level overview and get an idea of where your organization stands on attaining those goals prior to your grant manager conducting a compliance. All right, the next section I want to discuss is provider information. So as you can see on the screen, highlighted in red there is a folder graphic. This is the provider information icon, which will take you to your organization's high-level detailed information. So typically only individuals with the program administrator access will be able to see this information and go into that tab. So once you select that icon, you'll then be brought to a new screen that will have 4 tabs: appointments, file uploads, grantee details, and training programs. I'll talk a little bit about each one of those tabs. The first one, appointments, Illinois Works does not use this feature. You're welcome, again, to use this. Is one of those features that you're welcome to use. It helps you keep track of appointments that you might have with other partners. You might want to use this to schedule partner meetings, or just keep an inventory of the partners that you've met with. So that's, again, an optional feature that your organization can use. The file uploads tab is one that will be required to be used to save certain documents that should be stored there. So we require that you upload MOUs, contractor information. Your grant managers will often upload information there. Once your final curriculum form is approved and finalized, your grant manager will enter that there to keep a record of what the curriculum should be. The same with the work plan that we just discussed. We ask that you upload instructor certifications or credentials there as well. So There's a lot of activity. You can see that when you select it, you'll be able to see a drop-down menu. We're going to do a little bit of practice in a moment where we'll ask you to do that same thing. So, so that's where you'll be able to upload some of that information. The next tab, Grantee Details. This is one that you probably, of all these tabs in the provider information, this is the one that you'll probably use the most frequently. So this is where you will be able to ensure that your program information is there, your address, your program name. You'll be able to enter your associated grants. There's an associated grants section where you can enter your grant information, including the amount and the start and end date. Staff completed required training. So sometimes internal professional development is required, say to maybe one of your staff members is going to conduct the first aid CPR training for your cohorts. So we might require that you enter their professional development and training into that section. There's another section you can see on the screen called training programs. We actually don't enter the information here, so we'll just skip over that one and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a moment. There's an instructors section, so we ask that you enter instructor information so that we have an understanding of who's actually providing your training. A lot of times it's outside contractors or vendors. Your work site information, this is a really important one. So obviously we keep track of your organization level address, but you may have different sites in which you are going to do work-based learning. Or I mentioned there are some programs that have partnered with Habitat for Humanity, and they actually provide some of the on-site work, doing that construction. So we'd want to be able to see and recognize where those trainings are taking place. There's also on the screen, you can see on the right-hand side, services. So this is where all of the training and supportive services that your participants will receive is housed. Typically, they will auto-populate for training once you enroll them into your cohort. Your grant manager will be the one responsible for adding training services to this list. So this isn't a list that you need to maintain. This is something that the grant managers maintain. But you're welcome to look through it to ensure that any services that you were intending on providing are listed there. And again, they're essentially put there so that they will be accessible for an individual as they go through your program. Then the final section of the grantee details screen is cohort information. Now, this is a really important section of grantee details. This is where you will go to enter the start and end dates for each training module for each of your cohorts. And it's really important that this gets set up on the front end before you begin training, before actually you even enroll individuals into their cohort, because all of this information will populate into however many people you enroll. It can be modified on a case-by-case basis, but again, it's much easier to enter the information correctly into this cohort system and then enroll 30 people rather than enroll 30 people and then go into each one of those 30 individuals. And then for each of your, say, 15 training modules, enter that information each time. So it's very important to utilize this. Your grant manager will notify you once your organization's training modules have been properly established. So we're still in the process of doing all of that. There were some changes that were taking place with IWRS that we were holding off on entering any of that information. We also need to have your final curriculum form signed off on before these training modules can be finalized in IWRS. So as you receive requests from your grant managers to either work on establishing that final curriculum form or signing off on that final curriculum form, please know that that's an important step in order to update IWRS for your organization. All right, I know I've covered a lot. And I think we just have a few more things to cover, but I'm going to pause here just to take any questions because I've talked a little bit about things outside of IWRS as well. So do we have any questions in the chat or any other questions that anyone would like to ask?
Not in the chat.
Okay. I think someone had raised their hand. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, this is Gail Newcomb with Women's Innovation Group in Linwood. You had said that we need to upload the MOUs. Are you asking, do you want the ones, our original MOUs or our newer MOUs?
So any that you have not yet provided, so as you begin to work with new organizations or establish new MOUs, we're asking you that they would be uploaded there. And these come into play. I don't mean to stray off into a different topic, but these come into play very heavily when the Office of Accountability audits programs. So the state of Illinois has a separate office. It's not part of Illinois Works, and they choose to audit programs, and they're the ones that then will go through IWRS and ensure that any MOUs that you were supposed to have in place are in place, have been uploaded to IWRS. Any rosters that you were, maintaining are accurately reported, different things like that. So,
Okay.
so yeah, but the short answer to your question is just newly established MOUs. We're asking that you upload into that training program.
All right.
Or I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
the grantee details. That was a good question. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So now we'll talk about the training programs tab. So on the grantee details tab, there was a training program, but there's also a training programs tab separately. And we use this tab instead. There's a couple reasons. It's a much more complete set of training programs, but it also, what it does when you enter the information here, just to give you a kind of a background of the importance, this information can then populate throughout your program. So if you enter information about your training program and credentials, say your first aid credential, maybe it's through Heart Saver, or maybe it's through the American Red Cross, or maybe it's through the Latino Safety Center, that information can then be displayed as a radio button later on under each one of your participants. No matter how many participants you wind up having ultimately, 20, 30, 100, 150, and it'll save time by because you entered this information into this training programs tab once, that next 100 times, all you'll need to do is select a radio button rather than re-entering that information each time. So this is a great area to make sure you've established on the front end. It allows you to update training information, organizational level training information, as well as entering those credentials. And we'll go in there. When you select that tab, it will bring you to a provider information where you will select add program, and a pop-up window will appear where you will then add your location information, any restrictions that your program might have. You can see it here on the screen there. It is pretty detailed, but restrictions as in must be able to, walk 3 flights of stairs or carry 150 pounds, based on it being a construction and training, program, right? It'll ask what industry, because this is a general Illinois WorkNet, site. So we'll be selecting the construction and building trades. It'll ask what certificates are being offered. So of course it's your first aid, CPR, and your OSHA 10, but then each organization is either doing NCCR Core or Trade Futures MC3. You may also be providing forklift certification or flagger certification. Each program is different in that way, but you'll establish your baseline requirements, and then adding associated credentials. This is fairly detailed. when you do this. Again, we're not going to actually do it today. We will walk through so you can see it. At the very top of it, it's actually highlighted in like a, I don't know if that's orange or salmon color. There are instructions for doing this, and it walks you through. It's a PDF that SIU put together, and it walks you through step by step completing this information. So there are those step by step instructions there. Once you've completed this, again, not during this training session, you'll have time to do this maybe, you know, this afternoon or later this week. Let your grant manager know, because there's actually an approval process to it. You'll enter that information in. You'll let your grant manager know. Your grant manager will then go in and approve it, and then it will save your staff time from having to re-enter any of that information for each participant. All right. Before we go into practice, are there any questions about that provider information section?
Kathy White is asking, I don't have the add program button. Is that because of access?
So under the provider information, the program location, I think it was tab, is that right? Or the training programs tab, you don't have an
Yeah,
add program button?
it just says filter, but there's no add program button.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to ask that you know what, that either Steve or Monica check in with SIU regarding access for that. If I'm not sure if that's a different level of access or if that's just something that's missing on your profile.
Okay.
That's a good question. So we'll definitely have someone look into that.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
hopefully provide you an answer while we do walk through some of these steps.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
absolutely. So we'll go into, it looks like several people only have that filter level. So, and that, well, you know, we'll get an answer for you hopefully in the next few minutes. Let's see. So we're going to go into a little practice session now. Again, just for 2 or 3 minutes. We're not actually going to be filling in any data, but I would like you to go from your main screen to the provider level.
Dan, before we
Yes.
do that, I just want to point out that in the chat, so somebody indicated that if you put something in, then it shows up for her. Vichelina mentioned that, and somebody else said, yes, me too. Sharon says, if you choose the provider, the other tabs will show up. So it sounds like you actually just have to kind of start, you have to actually put in your provider and then see if it shows up for you. So can you maybe, the person who asked the question, can you check to see if that worked? Oh yeah, Kathy White's saying, I see it now.
Great.
So that's great. Thank you. The wonders of crowdsourcing. Thank you so much, others who helped us out on that.
Yeah, for sure, Anna. Thank you for pointing that out. And, you know, I was actually thinking about that as Anna was having everyone introduce themselves into the chat today. I've said it several times before. We're really looking to build a collaborative network. And so having you introduce yourselves is as much for each other as it is for the Office of Illinois Works. We want you to definitely learn from one another. And, you know, very often we wind up learning from you and sharing that information like we just did. So thank you so much for your support on that. So again, we're going to take just 2 minutes to let everyone explore the provider details section a little bit. So again, you're starting from your main screen and clicking on that file folder, and that will allow you to get into your provider information, where you should see the 4 tabs: appointments, file uploads, grantee details, and then training programs. Again, we don't use appointments, so you can skip over that one and just click on the file uploads. You can go ahead and click on upload, and you'll be able to just see what the upload menu looks like. You should see a drop down with a lot of those categories that we discussed: MOUs, final curriculum forms, work plans, things like that. From there, you can click on the grantee details tab, You should see your correct organization address and program name there already. That was pre-populated for you when we set up your grantee profiles. This is kind of a large screen, so you'll scroll down and see the place where you can enter your grant information, staff training. Again, there's a training programs section on this tab, but we don't use this one. Then we have the instructors, work sites, services. There should be a lot of information in services, but again, that's something that we manage for you. And then there's the cohort information. If you wound up clicking on the cohort information, it's actually going to take you out of this screen. So just hit your back button and it'll take you back to that grantee details tab. And then there's the training programs tab where you'll be able to set up all of that information to save your staff time later on. Okay. Any questions, any difficulties navigating through that provider level information? No?
Yeah, I don't think there's a question. I think Jamie was just adding to the previous conversation about ag project and provider in order to have that thing pop up. So otherwise, no questions in the chat.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick poll here. When you are on the training program or training programs tab, if you were able to click on add program, you should have seen a pop-up window appear, and there should be instructions at the very top. It's a PDF file that you'd be able to download. Was anyone able to see that or access that? If you could maybe give us a reaction. We have some hands coming up. That's great. Any thumbs up? So, because again, very often IWRS, perfect. The reason I'm highlighting that is very often IWRS will have step-by-step instructions for what you're attempting to do. We're actually going to show you that later on our partner guide. We're going to discuss that later in the training today. But as you can see, sometimes it's available right there in the menu where you're working as well. So great. Again, it's a very detailed information set that you have to enter to set that up. So I'm glad that there is a PDF instruction set for you to walk you through it, because it's kind of long, but again, it will save your organization a lot of time in the future once that gets established. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break now. Actually, maybe a 12-minute break. So it's 10:38 right now. So we're going to give you until 10:50 to return. If anyone has had any access issues, you can stay on and continue working with Steve or Monica, or unmute yourself and request assistance. But for everyone else, we will see you back here at 10:50. Thank you. All right. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all were able to get up and stretch a little bit. I know we've just been scratching the surface of IWRS so far. There's, a lot more to cover, not just today, in the other meetings. But I appreciate everyone's engagement and working with one another. I do want to mention, I saw that there was a question in the chat that we didn't address just before we left on break, and it was regarding removing an instructor. Apparently, when you add an instructor to the grantee details section, there isn't a delete or remove. So I'll have to come back to you on that. That could be by design. Certainly, if you can imagine running a program for 5 years, we might want a history of who was the instructor in 2024 when you first started. But maybe we need to have something put in place where we can inactivate, say, an instructor, or do something to denote that they're no longer a current instructor. So that's a good point. We will take a look at that as a group, and that's all part of the changes and updates that we do to IWRS throughout the year. We're always looking for ways to improve them based on your suggestions. So thank you for that, Carrie. All right. So section 6 is user management and work site placement. So we're going to make sure we have a discussion on how the program administrators can add and update users, and then adding information about work site placement. So user management, as you can see on the screen, I had mentioned it earlier when we were discussing the dashboard, or I'm sorry, the navigation bar. That little icon, the head and shoulders, is the user management icon. It allows program administrators to add or delete or update staff information in IWRS. So if you believe you should have that level of access but do not see the user management icon, please reach out to Steve or Monica. They can double check what we had as requests from your organization, and we can see about getting the proper access applied. If you don't have that access and you're probably not supposed to, then just go ahead and follow along with us. You'll see what they see, and know how it's supposed to work. So the one thing to note is, as you can see on the screen, the Illinois WorkNet uses the term partner. So it says there in a blue tab or a blue box, add partner to group. Partner, it refers to a user of IWRS. So it's referring essentially to a staff member, right? So when you click on that, as you can see on the screen, a pop-up will appear where you can add information onto the new partner or staff member that you'd like to grant access to your Illinois Works reporting system profile to. It asks for their first name, their last name, their birth date, their email, their phone number, and their zip code. So that's a lot of information, right? And just to give you the explanation, what it's doing at that point is it's going to then search Illinois WorkNet and try to find a match for that, right? So as I mentioned, a lot of other programs use Illinois WorkNet, and so your staff member may already have access to Illinois WorkNet based on another program that they were operating, or another grant that they were operating. And so that's why it's asking for the birth date and the phone number and the zip code, because it's trying to match those individuals. And then once you enter that in, you hit search, it finds the person, then you can add that partner, that staff member. After that, you are able to delete access to users. So you can see on the screen highlighted in red there again, there's a plus box and a red X. The blue plus allows organizations to develop groups where you can put access together for certain groups. Maybe if you had multiple locations, That is not a feature that IWRS uses, so we can just ignore that blue plus. The red X, however, is obviously a feature that can be used. Maybe your staff member moves to a different part of your organization, and so they no longer need IWRS access, or maybe they've left your organization entirely. It's very simple to remove them. Please note that once, again, we're going to go into a practice in a little bit. If you do click on the X, it'll ask you if you want to remove them. If you do, you'll have to add them again, including all that information, their name, their birth date, their phone number, their zip code, their email address. This is a live system that you're using, so just be mindful of that. The next item on that navigation bar, actually, it's the worksite placement feature. It's actually right next to the red icon. The red icon has circled the graph, the reports. So right next to that in blue is that paper graphic. It looks like a check sheet. That's the worksite placement icon, and it will allow you to enter your current work sites. So adding work sites there will make them accessible in all participant profiles, which will again streamline the data entry for once instruction begins. The worksite placement tool will allow you to add and edit worksite information, and the information that you placed on the provider info will be connected with this icon. So if you enter that information on the provider information tab, it'll be available here as well. You can add that information. You can add information about employers, worksite, and payroll. You can see there's four tabs there. The payroll tab we do not use, so please just ignore that one. That one falls into those categories. Remember, I said there are some items in IWRS that are required to be used, some that we make available for you to use at your option. This really falls into that third one. The payroll, we ask that you do not use that as part of your work with IWRS. All right. Any questions about the worksite placement or the user management? It's a fairly simple setup. I'd ask that each of you, we're going to go into there and give you a little bit of practice for 2 minutes, just to if you have that access. But any questions?
Done in the chat.
Excellent. All right, so why don't we take a moment? A lot of you may need to close your browsers and re-log into IWRS because we took that break. One thing you'll notice about IWRS is that there could be instances where you click on something and it opens a new window, and then you just begin navigating in that window. The previous window remains open, but because of inactivity in that window, it will time out. And as a security feature, if it times out on one window or tab of your browser, it times out all of the tabs of your browser. So that's something to consider. You may need to close all of the tabs of your browser and re-log into IWRS. So just as a maybe a thumbs down, how about, did that happen to anybody? Did anyone have to just now close all of their browsers because they weren't able to continue the security feature had already timed them out? No? Okay, good. Good. Just know that that's something that it does occur from time to time. But so for now, since you still have access and didn't need to log back in, if you have access to that user management icon, go ahead and click on that. Take a look. You should be able to see all of the users in your organization that we've set up IWRS accounts. Some of them may be on this training. Some of them may be starting on the next training, since this was primarily for administrators. But it allows you to see how those are all set up, and it allows you to be able to add more people or delete people. So once you've explored the user management pretty quickly, go ahead and click on the navigation bar that worksite placement. Again, that's the checklist looking icon, and you'll be able to see the 3 or 4 tabs there, the employers tab, the worksite placement, and the 2 payroll tabs that we don't use. All right, any questions or difficulties with navigating to those 2 sections of IWRS? All right, then we'll proceed to section 7. So these are the reporting tools. Access the reporting tools, including dashboards, work plans, student support services, attendance, and post-assessment scores. You know, the importance of the reporting tools can't be overstated, because we've mentioned how you enter your data progressing through the pre-apprenticeship life cycle into IWRS. This is a performance-based grant, right? So you need to achieve certain performance outcomes in terms of enrollment, completion, transition. All of those things are verified in IWRS, right? So to give you an example, and not to get too detailed, but when you enroll an individual into IWRS, there are certain requirements that will be shared with your organization. This will all be part of the second and third training sessions that we're going to have on IWRS. But there are commitment agreements that need to be uploaded. The interview sheets are uploaded into IWRS. Orientation assessments need to be entered into the intake tab of IWRS. And those are all the things that then your grant managers on a monthly basis, they verify. Did everything that was supposed to be entered into IWRS for an enrollment get entered? Then later on, when your program is ending, did you enter everything that needed to be entered for completion? Did each one of the training modules have a successful post-assessment score? Were all the training modules attended at least 80% of the time for each individual? All of those things. And this will allow you to keep tabs on that information as before your grant manager comes back and says, here's your compliance report. Unfortunately, we couldn't verify anyone, right? So that'll be how you use some of these reports. All right, so what we have on the screen here is the dashboards icon. So when you select the dashboards icon, a drop-down menu should appear with 2 different options. One is assessment, and one is Illinois Works reporting system reports. So we don't use the assessment feature, and that's one that you can play around with, you can look into, but there's really no reason for you to utilize those. Those are not part of IWRS. Under the Illinois Works reporting system, you can see that there would be, if you would access that, it would bring you to different tools such as reports that are available in IWRS. You can actually select the project category. It's a drop-down menu, and that takes you to specific reports that were developed. Again, IWRS is built on Illinois workNet. So Illinois workNet often will have reports that are available and can be used, but then there are specific ones that were created for Illinois Works. And these dashboards act as summary reports for that data. You'll see information on, red flags, intake, participant engagement, earned credentials. It's really meant to give you a bird's eye view of where your organization stands in its data entry. And, the data quality management is certainly something that's expected of each organization. And so we expect not only to have a data entry coordinator, but then someone assisting them to verify that information and assist them with ensuring that not only is the information in IWRS, but that it's also accurate. So as you use the dashboard in the Illinois Works reporting system, it will take you to this dashboard that you see here on the screen. And an important aspect of this dashboard is that if you find a field that you want more information on, once you've searched based on your provider, gender or age, and filtered that information, you'll be able to click on the on the number that gets represented, and it will take you to those specific participants. So, for example, just a very simple example, if you had 20 people in your cohort and 5 or 10 were women and 10 were men, you could click on either of those and it would take you to the profiles of those 10 women or those 10 men. For red flags, it will, you can see here on the screen that there might be absences, right? Or post-assessment issues. Let's say there were 15 people that needed to take a follow-up, right? So you could click on that. It'll bring you to those 15 individuals on that profile. And so this is what it would look like. It takes you back to that main screen, that participant recruitment and engagement screen. And using its own filtering process, it would bring you specifically to those 13 or 15 or 13 individuals that have the past due follow-up. So this can be used to help you improve your organization, right? Maybe you have certain individuals that are occurring a high rate of absences. That would point out to your wraparound service coordinator and student support services coordinator that they need to have a discussion with that individual. How can you help, right? What is the reason for that? Maybe they're struggling with something that is part of the wraparound services that you can do to support them. It also helps you because you might be able to start seeing trends within your own organization where you can improve, right? Maybe there's something that your organization has done with the timing of a particular course that is making it difficult for all of the participants to engage. So again, that's how you can utilize some of these reports. Do you have any questions? Anyone have any questions about these reports? Okay. We're going to talk about some other ones. No questions? Okay. Sorry, I know I have a tendency to just move on if I don't hear something right away.
Yeah, sorry, no questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So additional reports can be accessed from that report icon in the navigation bar. So back on the top of the IWRS screen is the reports button. And this provides access to additional reports about your program's performance. So there are two, like I had mentioned before, there are a lot of different reports available throughout the IWRS system and as part of Illinois workNet. But the two that we're going to take notice of in particular are the Student Support Services Report and the Attendance and Post-Assessment Scores Report. So the Student Support Services Report, when you select that bar graph icon, and then you can scroll down to find the Student Support Services Report. This report allows you to filter information by date, by enrollment status, by service providers. If you want to see, if you are working with a very particular service provider and you want to see the information that they are working on, you can do that. And by flag type. So there are, again, attendance flags and post-assessment flags. Oftentimes you'll see that it also refers to, I should mention that it also refers to customers. Those are the participants in your program. So during the process of entering attendance and post-assessment scores, if an individual falls below the 80% attendance threshold or the 70% post-assessment score threshold, IWRS will add a red flag to that participant's profile to make it easier for you to identify those issues. And then this report will provide an overview of all of the red flags of your participants. So it's extremely helpful for program administrators when you're trying to gain a high-level view of the red flags in the system. And again, will help you direct support where it's needed. Similarly, there's an attendance and post-assessment scores report. So this report allows you to access the attendance and assessment information for each participant. So while the previous report was useful to identify red flags, this will provide more detailed attendance information and post-assessment information. So you can actually see, say, for example, the scores. And it allows you to maybe check everyone's scores in the entire cohort, that they were not only entered, but that they're entered accurately.
Hey, Dan, we have a question in the chat. Is student support needs report, so is student support needs report the same as student support service report?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that is something that's used interchangeably in IWRS.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Then there's also a work plan and report. So this is going back onto the main page of IWRS, where we normally are on the participant recruitment and engagement tab. The work plan and report outlines program dates and outcome metrics. So we talked about this before. This allows you to view the metrics that are established in your grant agreement, along with the actual numbers that IWRS is reporting, and then the dates for the start and end date of the cohort according to the work plan. And I can't stress enough, those start and end dates on your work plan are extremely important. They will ultimately determine when the Office of Illinois Works reviews your IWRS information for compliance. Compliance, again, referring back to those grantee manual sessions that you attended. Compliance is the mechanism that we use to verify the data and ultimately attribute your funding to the performance of your grant. So without that information, essentially there's no ability to reimburse your organization for the money that it has spent. And we base that again on the dates that are on your work plan. So if the work plan dates are incorrect, you could be penalized and wind up with a lower compliance score than you thought you should have, or we won't even review the data because we didn't realize that your cohort had already ended, for example, and then you'll miss out and have to wait till the next month for that funding to potentially be unlocked. But at any rate, so this work plan and report feature will allow you to see those in real time. The next reporting tool to discuss is the export tool. I talked about this earlier in the review of the main page. So this export tool allows you to pull out the information that has been entered into IWRS and bring it into an Excel file. Some organizations upload it into their CRM tools. Some use that to upload into some of their stipend information or their own attendance tracking. So you can pull this information out of IWRS and use it a lot of different ways. The key thing to note is that when you click export, you're going to see the pop-up window that appears here, and there are something like 40 different fields that are available. Everything from their current status, their first name, their last name, their email address, their birth date, their highest level of education, the cohort that they've been assigned to, their veteran status. There's again almost 40 different fields there. You're actually able to select which ones specifically you want, or select them all, and then that will be able to pull down that demographic information, training information, even red flag information is contained in this export report. So some other things to know about this report is essentially it pulls from IWRS anything that's on that original participant recruitment and engagement screen. So what I mean by that is when you first log into IWRS, and if you have a single grant, it will pull up just that information. Every participant, every inquiry, every applicant, every enrollee, every person that's already graduated, it'll pull up into that system. And if you hit export, that's what it will download. But as I mentioned on that participant and recruitment engagement tab, you can filter it, right? You can filter it by just saying you only want to see the enrollees, or you only want to see the applicants, or you only want to see the people that have completed the program. And once you hit search, those are the people that will appear. So then when you hit export, that's what it will export to you, just the people that you have searched for. So that's a nice feature of it as well. One thing sure.
Yeah, I was just anticipating. No questions in the chat.
Okay.
That's coming up.
Yeah, that is the next step. I was going to mention, just as a little bit of trivia, that your grant managers actually use this report very frequently. We're constantly pulling the information out so that we can do compliance checks. So at least on a monthly basis, we're utilizing it, but oftentimes more than that. So as Anna had just said, I was about to check for any questions about this, about the reports that I had just gone over. But as she had just mentioned, there weren't any. So okay. So we're going to go ahead and give you a little bit of practice time. Obviously, you don't have any data in the system yet, so there's really nothing to pull up on those reports. So I'll just give everyone maybe a minute to select those different icons. Again, there were essentially 3 areas that we talked about for reports. One is on the navigation bar. On dashboards, there's a drop down there, and you can view the Illinois Works report system reports. We ignore the assessment one. Then also on the navigation bar is the bar chart, which is another reporting system, and that brings up a whole host of reports that are available in Illinois WorkNet. And specifically, we obviously are just looking for the Illinois Works ones. So there's a filter there that you can select just Illinois Works reporting system reports, or you can access, just scroll down to the 2 that we were discussing, the Student Support Services report and the Attendance Post-Assessment Scores report. And then finally, we had talked about the export report on the main page and the participant recruitment and engagement page. Okay. Has anyone had any questions about those reports? Were you able to navigate through them? Now's your time to ask if you had needed any assistance with that.
Hi, Dan. It's LaShawn. I want to make sure. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I see the reports. My system is running a little slower now. Could you repeat the steps again to go through the dashboard, and then where do we head?
Sure. So on the navigation bar, that's that screen, or the bar at the top, there's a icon that should say dashboards. When you select it, a drop-down menu should appear. and there are two options, assessment and Illinois Works reporting system. So when you select the Illinois Works reporting system, that should take you to the to report or to reporting system dashboard for Illinois WorkNet. I'm sorry, Illinois Works reporting system. The next area that we had talked about was again on that dashboard, and there's a bar chart that should provide you with the ability to click on that and go to the reporting system. And that has a whole host of reports, some that are dedicated to Illinois Works, but some that are dedicated to other programs that operate on the Illinois Works report, Illinois WorkNet system. So the two that we were discussing there were the Student Support Services report and the Attendance and Post-Assessment Scores reports. And then finally, we had talked about the export report, and that is on the main IWRS page. It's the export report that allows you to pull all the information directly out of IWRS and into Excel. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, there is question from Jackie. So we can enroll participant information, only have to report be set by that.
So we can't export only enrolled participants information. No, you can export only enrolled participant information. So when you're on the participant recruitment and engagement tab, there's a status drop down, and you would select enrolled and then hit search. And then once it finishes pulling up any enrollees, then you would select export, and it would only export those enrolled participants. I hope I'm answering that correctly. Okay. Thank you, Jackie.
She said thank you. No other.
I have a question. I have my hand raised. This is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi. I had to log out. The system keeps freezing, and at first I thought it was my computer, but I just turned on another computer and went to some sites. It's moving very fast. So if a lot of people are in here, does this system slow down or?
Not always. We have had some issues at one training before. I remember that during IWRS training that it had slowed down quite a bit, but I don't know that it's necessarily based on the number of people using the system at this time. See, I had just selected it, and I can tell it's moving a little bit slower than normal. So, yeah, it definitely does seem to be an issue. I know we have a representative from SIU on, if he could take a look at that.
Yeah, I can't even get back in. I closed out because it just kept spinning. Sorry. Closed out because it just kept spinning. But I'll try to log back in as soon as it let me.
Yeah, Gail, thank you for letting us know. It looks like now in the chat that several other people have indicated they're experiencing the same issues. So thank you all for letting us know. We're going to go ahead and move on to section 8, and we'll then, again, hopefully SIU will be able to take a look at that and give us an answer as to what is taking place or resolve the issue during this training. But if not, again, it'll be posted on the partner guide. You'll be able to rewatch the steps that we're providing and then kind of do a practice on your own. The next IWRS session will be entering actual data into the system as a test. So we'll be able to get a little bit more hands-on there, and we'll ask SIU to investigate this issue so that it doesn't happen during that next training. So thank you. All right, the next section that we wanted to discuss is the help system. So this is where you can report information. Occasionally a feature of IWRS is not working as expected. Certainly we're encountering that right now. It's quite timely. Sometimes it's because IWRS is not working properly. Sometimes it might be because IWRS is actually designed to not allow you to make the change that you want to make. And other times it's because you don't have the required access to make that change. So it could be one of several different issues. So a lot of times you can check with your grant manager to see if it's something that you should be able to do. They may ask you to submit a request for help via the Illinois WorkNet help desk. So this is a fantastic system. It's a method of formalizing requests for corrections or changes, and it allows you to kind of go back and take a look at what you've requested and provide status updates there. So again, a couple of reasons why you might need to submit these help requests. We've seen people upload the wrong document into a participant's profile, right? Everyone has their first aid certifications and you're uploading them into each person's profile, but then you accidentally, uploaded Mike's into Sam's. And so you need to have that deleted out of Sam's profile. So you'll need to enter a help desk ticket to do that. Maybe you were unable to clear an attendance flag, right? We talked about those reports where you can identify the attendance or post-assessment flags, because attendance has to be at least 80% for most modules. Some require 100% attendance, like OSHA 10. Post-assessments need to be a score of 70% or higher. And if not, a red flag appears. Well, sometimes you've corrected what you think needs to be corrected, but the red flag still remains. So that would be a time to enter a help desk ticket to what we're about to show you. So the way to access the help desk is, it's first off, I should mention, it's not available on every screen. So it should be available on the Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab. So again, that's the main screen. When you first log into IWRS, you will see, the Participant Recruitment and Engagement screen. And in the upper right-hand corner, you can select your name, and a drop-down menu should appear. Should have several different options. Log off should be the last one, but the help request should be one of those that are available. Now, I'm seeing that several people did not have access to this. I'm not sure if you had entered that into the chat before you went back to this main screen or not. But so go back to this main screen, and then if you still don't have access to that help request icon, then message Steve or Monica directly, and they will help you gain access to that. So once you click on that help desk icon, it will open up a new page and take you to the Illinois Work Help Desk. You can see a screenshot of it on WebEx now. There are several different features I'm going to walk you through. First off, on the left-hand side, you should see 4 icons. There's a house, a little inbox, a catalog, and a light bulb. So the house is your home screen. You'll click on it and it will take you back to this screen. The inbox is called My Tickets. If you hover above it, it should call it My Tickets. And when you click on that, it'll take you back to any help requests that you've previously submitted. Now, the service catalog and knowledge base, we don't really use for Illinois Works reporting system. These are, again, this is the Illinois WorkNet help desk. So there are several other programs that do utilize those. You're welcome to click through them and explore. The same goes for the center of this homepage. You'll notice that there are different updates and project names that you can explore. Illinois Works reporting system has not historically been part of this information. So one of the things with a lot of help desks that generally tells you before you submit a help desk ticket, you should search the topic to see if it's already been addressed. For the most part, there isn't any background information on IWRS in here for you to search. So essentially, the next step would be for you to submit a new request. So you had saw in the upper right-hand corner, there's the new request option, and that will take you to a new screen to fill out the new request form. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's a red asterisk on any required field. So the first one is the title for your request. Provide a brief, 5 to 8 word title. Then there's the description. Here's where you can be very thorough, right? We want to know exactly what's taking place, what you'd like to do, the names of the participants involved. Again, if you were, accidentally uploaded Mike's first aid certification into Sam's profile, you need to provide both of their full names. You need to provide your organization name in there. Just all the information you can in that description. There's a category field is next. You'll want to always select Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship. That's really important because there are different programmers that help different profiles or different organizations. So we want ours to go to the right person. So make sure you select Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship. Then you'll select a subcategory that makes the most sense for where you are. It's going to be very hard for you right now, but to know what it would be. But on just briefly, there's intake, there's training, instruction and attendance, there's reporting. So you'll get a general sense for what subcategory you need to select. And don't worry if you wind up selecting the wrong one, they'll help you through it. There's a CC box, and that's actually what is highlighted in red. That is not a required field, but I would recommend that you enter your grant manager's email address there. We are not able to see your help desk requests unless you include us here on the front end when you enter your help request. So a lot of times I'll receive an email and from one of my grantees, and they'll say, hey, I had this request. Can you check on it for me? I don't have access to it unless they included me on it. So for the most part, it's just including me as an FYI. It's not something I generally need to get involved with, but the point is that if I do need to get involved, it helps to have your grant manager, CC'd on the front end. Then you'll enter in your information, your name, your address. You're a partner or provider. Enter in your information there, and finally, there's a box that asks if this is preventing you from moving forward. So I'd ask that you use that pretty judiciously. If it's something that is urgent and you can't, for whatever reason, you can't upload any of your participants commitment agreements, right? That's essential. You need to have that done right after orientation. And so that would be something where you'd want to select as preventing you from moving forward. If it's something where you weren't able to delete, Mike's first aid certification, that's not an urgent request, so you wouldn't need to check the box for that. All right, and then you would click create, and it would create that help ticket for you and send it off to SIU for their assistance. As I mentioned, on the left-hand side, there's the inbox there where you can view all of your existing tickets. This will show you not only the ones that you created, but any requests that you were CC'd on. So, I was mentioning you can CC your grant manager. You can also CC other individuals in your program, and they will be able to access this information as well. All right, so any questions regarding the SIU help desk or the Illinois workNet help desk?
Miss Monica, I'm sorry to interrupt. I need to submit a help desk request. There are quite a few private messages being received. There are a lot of people who do not have the help desk function included on their options. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of the fact that I do indeed see your messages, but oh boy, they are coming in fast. So just in case I missed one, I did want to make that known.
Okay, great. Thank you. So what we're going to do for everyone on the call is we will, take down your name and email, and we will make sure that, after this call later this afternoon, whatever access privilege wasn't set up properly, that will get you access to that help desk. So hopefully, as you saw, it's a fairly simple process to go through to enter a help desk. It's really just a form with a bunch of required fields, and you answer them and click create, and you're on your way. So it's pretty simple. But if you do have any questions, again, this session is being recorded. It'll, like all the other training sessions, it will be uploaded to the partner guide. So you are welcome to go back and review a section. And you can always reach out to your grant manager for one-on-one technical IWRS assistance. Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to our last section, section 9. I should say our last section before we move on to our post-assessment through Mentimeter. So as we always explain, that's extremely important to us. I'm seeing some more messages in the chat that the IWRS access has stalled a little bit. So again, we are looking into that, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve that shortly. All right, if we could move on the slide, progress to the next section, section 9, resources. So I've just talked quite a bit about the partner guide. That's going to be what we want to talk about next. So that's one of the additional resources that we're going to share with you. If you haven't accessed the partner guide yet, you should know that it's there's a lot to it that can help you with your IWRS access and really with your overall program implementation. So one way to get to the partner guide, well, I should say the very best way is to bookmark the link that has been provided in the chat multiple times. It was just provided in the chat again. So I have that bookmarked. It's my second favorite bookmark on my row, and I'm in there all the time. But if you, for whatever reason, lose your link, you can get to the Illinois Works Partner Guide by going to illinoisworknet.com. And we explain this on the front end as part of your login process. And you can scroll down to the state partners, and you'll have to click view more, but then the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program will be there. And when you click on that, you see this box that opens. It will bring you to the Illinois Works Partner Guide. So there are several icons that we will discuss right now. The first we've discussed already. It's the 4 hands putting together a puzzle. That provides you with access to the Illinois Works reporting system. The next icon that we're going to talk about is it's actually, I think, a chalkboard now. We've recently updated it, and it brings you to the professional development recordings that we have put in place. And when you select that icon, again, it's the second icon, the one next to the four hands in the puzzle. When you select that, it allows you to then further refine your professional development selection for recorded video training materials or in-person information and materials. So we're going to focus on the recorded one. So that's a picture of someone holding a tablet or a laptop that you see on the WebEx. And that will then bring you to the recorded feature of the recorded session feature of the partner guide. The first thing you'll notice is that there are IWRS tutorials. So those are really nice because they essentially take the information that's presented in these multi-hour sessions and break them down into 5 to 10 minute videos, right? So maybe you just want to go through that grantee details section that we talked about today. There is a 5 or 7 minute video on that. We talked about adding a training program. There's a very short video specifically on that. Sometimes adding a customer or the intake process. Those are all things that we are going to be trained on in session 2 and 3, but they're here as short tutorials as well. You can keep scrolling down in this section and you'll find information about the applicant tracking system, which is not something that you should engage in right now. That happens much later on in your program. And then we have the full recordings of webinars, previous webinars and materials. So all the grant manual sessions that you have attended, you can review the videos for those, as well as having a link to the presentations in PDF format for each one of those. So that's the breadth of the resources that we have there on the partner guide. In addition to that, we have something called the full list of resources. So back on the main screen of the partner guide is the full list of resources. So it's that third circular icon. And that will provide you with a lot of step-by-step instructions for IWRS. So it provides quick start guides. These are all PDFs that you'll be able to download. It provides the step-by-step instructions in a similar way that the tutorials are set up to provide you with just a quick view of how to accomplish something. These resources provide you with the written instructions for how to navigate through IWRS, and they're sorted. They're set up in the pre-apprenticeship lifecycle steps. So, whether you're doing outreach and recruitment or intake or entering training information, they're categorized that way. So any questions before we move on to the course evaluation about the partner guide?
None in the chat.
Okay. I hope that's because everyone has already been using it. Certainly it's where you can register for future training sessions. All the links will always be there for that registration, but it's really such a great resource that we rely on very heavily in terms of that partner guide. So I'm going to go ahead and hand the presentation back to Anna, I think is going to be managing the evaluation.
Yes, right here.
Excellent. Thank you,
Yep.
everyone.
Great. Thanks so much for the camera. But yeah, so let's go into Mentimeter. Forgive me, the camera's fritzing out a little bit. Am I frozen? Hello?
Your camera just kind of has an X on it.
Okay, great.
But we can see Mentimeter.
Then we won't worry about that. So Hopefully you have been with us previously and used Mentimeter. And so we've got, can someone put the Mentimeter link into the chat for us? Very rude.
Hi, Anna. The Mentimeter information is in the chat.
Oh, my screen is frozen. So thank you so much, Gia. So you can just click on that. And you can do it on your computer or on your phone if you prefer not to toggle through different screens. But we've got, you can see here, it's www.menti.com, and then you enter the code. And then that will just take you into a page where you can get started. So we're just going to give it another few seconds, and maybe people can raise their hands once they have enter in. Oh, here I can kind of see. So I see we've got 5 people who have gotten in so far. So I'm just going to give you a few more seconds. Right, so see some more people are entering. Little hearts. Because we love when you help us by giving us feedback. All kinds of people are coming in. We've got 10. We're in Mentimeter now. Keep coming. Join at menti.com, and then we've got the code up here, 8756-7407. Thanks, everyone. I'll get more. So 14, yeah, because my screen's being a little wonky. Is that what we're at? 14 people in the Mentimeter?
Yes, 14.
Okay. So please, we know that there are many more participants that we have a good 35 participants, I think, in the call. So if you could enter in, help us out. I think we're just going to get started. All right. As you know, we'd love to do this activity so that we can continually improve what we're doing. So please share your views on this training by rating the following statements from a 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. To what extent did it meet your expectations? How likely are you to attend a similar event in the future? And how likely are you to recommend this training to others? I can see we've got 6 people have voted so far. I'm super glad that the training has been helpful to you, is what I would say. Awesome. Well, good. And we've got the team there. So thank you very much. Let's keep going. How relevant was the course to what you wanted to learn about the subject matter? Keep in mind that there are several others, other these trainings that are going on too. So being that it was, the let's just get started webinar, how strongly do you agree or disagree that the course was relevant to what I wanted to learn about the subject? All right, so we have someone who's a strongly disagree. We'll have a chance, a couple people at least, for you to share what it is that you would like to learn. Hopefully that will be taught in the next one. I understand there were some technical difficulties with some folks, so it may have been harder to learn by doing, right? You might not have been able to get in or stay in. We've got 19 who have responded. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. And you plan to apply what you learned. Stronger agree being with 5. Wonderful. And we see it's very applicable to your goals. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. What improvements might you recommend to the program? Great. So step-by-step slides. Yeah, more hands-on training, actually following along. And just so you know, in the programs that we have coming up on IWRS, there will be more following along, and that being in the system. So that is coming. Printable slide deck for notes, sure. Screen share while presenting, yeah, screen shares. I always like examples of information. Examples, that's thank you, helpful. Ready, set, go. Awesome. Access to test participants. That's a great idea. And the session moved fast. So, and I'm feeling for some, it especially moved fast because your systems were moving slowly. So it was challenging to follow along. That's good for us to keep in mind for the future. And the system needs to work, main needs to be updated, and the training needs to show slides with the details. You will be doing entering in mock people into future sessions. So great idea. And we got you on that one. And this has been more geared toward new grantees, not renewal grant. Actually, I'm not really sure if that was you. I wonder if the person who mentioned that, it says more geared toward new grantees, not renewal. So you feel that we need to do more for new grantees? If you want to just put some in the chat, that would be great. And then provide written instructions prior to the session. Really great input. Thank you so much. And we will absolutely take these into account for the sessions that are coming up and for next year when we do the same exact session. Let's move on. What did you find effective about today's session? And if we make changes, what would you recommend we keep? Great. Just more practice time. Absolutely. And you will have plenty of it coming up. Great. I'm going to give it another minute since it can take a minute to write things. More examples. Yeah, examples are very helpful. Yeah, more hands-on. Needed more time to train, and you will have some. Yeah, you need to be able to see all the screens as you're going through them. And it is absolutely easy to get lost when you're new. Yeah. Access to the specific short recordings available. Please move slower. And we've gotten that a few times now, so we will absolutely keep that under consideration. Thanks for the positive reinforcement. All of it is relevant. Keep the information. Showing how to navigate the system was good. Yeah, more time to practice and screenshots. Okay, wonderful. Continuing to focus on the database and how to navigate the systems. Yeah. Wonderful. And Gia is mentioning to everyone that the recordings for previous sessions are available on workNet. So is there anything else about the course that you think we should know before we sign off?
questions in chat, no comments in chat.
Thanks, Shirley. I'm just going to give it another few seconds in case somebody is typing furiously. Just more examples on navigating the database. Great. All right. I think we are going to move along because you all have already provided so much helpful feedback to us. Thank you so much. We are really very pleased to have you in our provider network, to partner with you, to bring these opportunities to your community. And it's just an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. And we're all looking forward to the year. Have a great rest of the day, everyone.
You as well. Have a great day.
Thanks, Gail.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Have a great day and thank you.
All right, have a good one.